Alright, welcome again in another tutorial of the topic differentiation. In this tutorial we continue with the derivative of quotients of polynomials. This is what we continue with. So we are going to do two examples here. The derivative of quotients of polynomials. See here hapa. Nasema find dy dx if y is just equal to radical x over the square root of x plus 1. So this, if I let u is equal to this, the square root of x, and v is equal to this, the square root of x plus 1. So my y is just equal to u over v. So I can easily find now dy dx by using the quotient rule, which says that v du dx minus u dv dx over v squared. So this is my u. My u is the square root of x. So du now dx is very simple. Tushaifanya mara nyingi, ama haja ya revise. It's just 1 over 2 times radical x. And then my v now is just equal to, we have x plus 1. Now hii ili kupata dv dx hapa, naona hii ni kama composite function. Kwa hiyo nita let w is equal to x plus 1. Manake v itakuwa ni sasa na radical ya w. Kwa sasa dv dx is just going to be equal to dv dw times dw dx. So I can get dw dx here and dv dw here. So from this one, w is equal to x plus 1 dw dx. If I differentiate x, I get 1. If I differentiate 1, I get 0. It's just 1. And this v now is equal to this one. So my dv now, dw, is just going to be equal to, here put square root, derivative yake ni hiyo. Kana inabidi tu ikariri, lakini unaweza pia ukaisolve. So w ni x plus 1, so ni 2 the square root of x plus 1. So my dv now dx is just going to be equal to dv dw times dw dx by using the chain rule, okay? Nimerudia tena kuiandika. So my dv now dx is just going to be equal to dv dw iko wapi? Hiyo hapo, 1 over 2 times the square root of x plus 1 times my dw dx ni ile 1. So my dv dx is just 1 over 2, okay, times the square root of x plus 1. This is my dv dx. Remember my v was x plus 1. Remember my u was x. And remember my du dx was 1 over 2. So now I can find now the derivative of y with respect to x by using the quotient rule. So the quotient rule says it's v, this one, x plus 1, times du dx. There we have it, 1 over 2 x minus u is this one, times dv dx, which is this one, 1 over 2 x plus 1 over, now this one is v squared. So what do I have? I get dy dx is just going to be equal to, we have x plus 1 over 2 radical x minus, we have x over 2 radical x plus 1. This, all of this over x plus 1. So dy dx is just going to be equal to, find the, this just, okay, nazidisha huyu na huyu. Natafuta LCM ya huyu na huyu ni huyo. So nikija nganya huyu na huyu napata radical x plus 1 times radical x plus 1 ni hiyo x plus 1 minus huu na huu napata radical x nikigawanya times radical x ni hiyo x. All of this now over x plus 1. So if I minus here, this and this, they just go. So I will remain with, hapa juu nitabaki na 1 over 2. We have this one is x times x plus 1. Sasa don't forget hii huku. This time baada ya kuiweka huko chini, tuifanye hivi. So hii x plus 1 naweza nikaingiza ndani ya hii square root. I find out that dy dx is just going to be equal to 1 over 2 times x. Huyu nikimuingiza ndani anakuwa x plus 1 squared. Zidisha na huyu inakuwa ni x plus 1 cube. So this now is dy dx when y, what was y? Y is equal to radical of x over radical of x plus 1. So this one is my dy dx for example 1. Now let's solve example 2. So unaona kuna sehemu tumetumia chain rule, afu tumetumia na kwenye hii example 1 tumetumia same chain rule, afu tumetumia na quotient rule. Kwa hiyo unaweza ukazitumia ukajikuta unazitumia zote. Now check this one, example 2. Example 2. Example 2 it says find dy dx if y equal to, this one is x plus 1 over, this one is x plus 2, this 1 over 2. So kwanza let's solve this one, okay? Kwanza kabisa, this is like a composite function. I can let now w equals to x plus 1 over x plus 2. So it means y is just equal to w power half. Then I can find dy dx by using the chain rule is equal to dy dw times dw dx. Now I can find dy dw here and the dy dw dx here. So from this one now y is equal to sasa na hivi, sawa? Kwa hiyo dy dw tumeshafanya mara nyingi is just equal to 1 over 2 radical w. Then now we have w now is equal to x plus 1 over x plus 2. Sasa hii hapa ndo quotient. W is a quotient of two polynomial functions x plus 1 and x plus 2. Now I can let u equals to x plus 1 and v equals to x plus 2. What does this mean now? This means that that w is equal to u over v. So I can get the w dx from the quotient rule. V du dx minus u dv dx over v squared. So the w now dx is going to be equal to v. V is x plus 2. Okay, du dx tabidi ni itafute sasa. Remember u tulisema ni x plus 1. Kwa hiyo du dx nikidifferentiate x napata 0. Nikidifferentiate x napata 1. Nikidifferentiate 1 napata 0. 1 plus 0 is 1. Wakati v is equal to x plus 2. dv dx nikidifferentiate x napata 1. Nikidifferentiate 2 ni constant napata 0, so it's 1. So du dx is 1 minus, this one is x plus 1 times 1 over x plus 2 squared. So my dw now dx is just going to be equal to, hii ni quotient rule, it's just going to be equal to x plus 2 minus x plus, okay, nikiingiza minus ndani ni minus 1 tena. This is x plus 2 squared. So the x and x goes, 2 minus 1 is 1. So the w dx is just going to be equal to negative 1 over x plus 2 squared. So now remember from chain rule, not negative 1, I apologize, it's positive 1. Because 2 minus 1 is positive 1. So from chain rule now, remember, we said that dy dx is just going to be equal to dy dw times dw dx. What was dy dw now? This one was equal to 1 over 2 radical w. So what was w? W was just x plus 1 over x plus 2. So this This was dy dw. And then dw dx tumepata nini? Tumepata ni sasa na positive 1 over x plus 2 squared. So my dy dx now, I just take this dy dw 1 over 2. This one is x plus 1 over x plus 2 times 1 over x plus 2 squared. So my dy now dx itakuwa sana, this one is 1 over hii x plus 2 square naingiza ndani, itakuwa ni x plus 1, nikiingiza ndani inakuwa ni x plus 2 power 4 chini ya x plus 2. So huyu anaondoka hapa, itabaki 3. So my dy dx finally is just 1 over 2. This one is x plus 1 times x plus 2 power 3. So this one is dy dx when y is equal to x plus 1 over x plus 2 power half. Dy dx ni hii. Nimetumia quotient rule, nimetumia chain rule kupata. So thank you again guys for watching this tutorial. See you in the next tutorial.